Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Week 3 of Coalition League's Summer Split. I'm Random Minion Caster, and this is the Noxus division. DoV Nightfall facing off against MG Nitro. Now, on the blue side, it's going to be DoV Nightfall, and they've been struggling a little bit in the Noxus division thus far. In the top lane, once more, Lord of Aces in the jungle, Gunth79 in the mid position. It's going to be a switch up here. They're going to put Mohawk Gaming mid, and he has been playing support for them, but it looks like they're going to put him mid this time and switch Web Hippo, who was previously playing mid for them, back into the support role where he played most of the spring split last season. In ADC, it's going to be Poison Lynch. On the red side, MG Nitro, top laner only Louise. In the jungle, Wheat Boy. Mid lane, MG Piglet, ADC Yokti Boat. And for support, it's going to be E-Sub Pike Bots. And because of that E-Sub, MG Nitro should be losing a ban here technically. I don't know how this is going to work for them, but we will see going forward. Now, for DoV Nightfall, I'm really liking the switch here between Mohawk Gaming and Web Hippo, between mid and support. Web Hippo was showing a bit of a restricted champion pool, playing either Morgana or Swain in Morgana or Malzahar, pardon me, in that mid lane, and it seemed to be being exploited a little bit because he was a bit of a passive laner, so people were picking scaling champions into him. Last week was Xno playing into him, and they picked really strong scaling champions knowing that they wouldn't be punished for it. So I'm liking the switch up here. There is going to be a different champion pool from Mohawk Gaming, and it's going to force MG Nitro to have to respond to that. And in terms of bans for DoV Nightfall, they're going to ban out the Renekton, Jax, Kiana, Talon, and LeBlanc. So a lot of focus to those solo lanes there. Carry type champions here against only Louise and MG Piglet. For MG Nitro, their bans are going to be Thresh, Caitlyn, Graves, Yumi, Teemo. They've left the Swain open here for Web Hippo. It was one of his signature supports in the spring split here. And DoV Nightfall going to pick themselves a Mumu, Set, Ezreal, Darius, and Vladimir. So that's going to be a set support, most likely in the bot lane for Web Hippo. And I'm really liking that. They dropped that in the first round. And usually we see Set in the top lane, occasionally in the jungle, but almost never in the support lane here in Coalition League. It is done a bit in solo queue though. So definitely possible, just not very common. And if they do this, it does mess up MG Nitro's picks and ban phase a little bit here. On the side of MG Nitro, they're going to go with the Olaf, Pyke, Mordekaiser, Tristana. And that's not a Bard. That was a mistake. That should be a Syndra there for the mid lane for MG Piglet. And then again, we have seen Tristana in the mid lane Syndra ADC position. It's a very unusual decision to make, but we have seen it once before. Might see it again here. Quite unlikely though, but that Olaf definitely going to be in the jungle here for Wee Boy. Mordekai's in the top lane, and Pyke bot, of course, living up to his name, is going to get that Pyke in the support role here. And I'm actually particularly liking that set into the Pyke as well, because it is generally considered quite a strong counter into Pyke. Pyke wanting to grab champions, especially squishy champions, execute them right away, but Set very, very tanky, will be able to negate that. Should have an advantage in the laning phase, though we'll have to see how that one plays out exactly. And with that, the teams are on to the Rift, so we will be joining them here. Once again, DoV Nightfall on the blue side, and MG Nitro on the red side here. Now, in terms of lanes, I think the lanes are going to have quite a bit of a mix here. Vladimir, not the strongest laner, does tend to struggle a bit in lane against that lane dominant Syndra there, but MG Piglet opting not to take Ignite, so will not have the healing cut against Mohawk Gaming. I am expecting MG Piglet to build a Morelos, rushing it there to deal with the healing coming out from Mohawk, or we could see Mohawk just taking over the lane through sheer sustain and tankiness there. Top lane, Darius into Mordekaiser. We've seen this matchup quite a bit here. Both very, very meta, very, very common picks. Should really just be a bit of a back and forth, and we have seen either Mordekaiser or Darius really take over games if they can find that lead. So I am expecting to see a lot of focus being paid to that top lane there. Bot lane, you've got Pyke and Tristana on the side of MG Nitro. That's a very aggressive bot lane. They're going to be looking for kills here, looking to try and get some executes. Tristana very, very strong in the early game. You contrast that to the Ezreal set. A bit more unorthodox bot lane. Set should be looking to assert some lane dominance. Is a very strong laner, has a lot of regeneration, has a lot of base damage built into his kit, but Ezreal not very strong in the early game. Yes, he can poke it out, and that's what I'm expecting to see here from Poison Lynch. He'll need to use a lot of mystic shots to try and get the poke down to ensure that Yachty Boat and Pike bots don't just initiate on them right away and find huge leads. So on the side of DoV Nightfall, they're going to be looking to scale up a little bit. And again, typical of DoV Nightfall, their composition, their drafting really solid here, looking for that mid-game spike with the Vladimir, with the Amumu. They've got a lot of AoE damage here. You put a Darius who can just run in and get the stacking on the entire enemy team with the executes, and they've got themselves a really solid mid-game. And on the other side of the map, MG Nitro's picks really strong laners here, and they do scale pretty well into the mid to late game as well. So really solid draft from them. They don't quite have the team fight potential, but they do have a lot of catch potential and skirmish potential as well. So in the earlier phases, MG Nitro is going to find themselves really strong, especially around that mid lane with the Syndra, with the Olaf as well, and with the late game insurance from the Tristana. So MG Nitro going to look to get those skirmishes, looking to dominate early, and often win those smaller fights around objectives. We'll have to watch out though for those team fights, and I think a lot of this will revolve around Gunth. On the side of DoV Nightfall, can he find those 4-5 man Amumu ultimates? If he can, we'll see a lot of damage in the bot lane. Pipebot's just going to take a little bit of poke here from Web Hippo, the engage, and the poke, the explosive shots coming out of the Yachty Boat, not really sticking onto Web Hippo very much. The base regen there really strong for him, so we'll be able to just regenerate that out. Now Weeboy has found Gunth in the jungle. Olaf really strong in the early game. Can he just train him down? Flash coming out. He's going to run to load of bases, but that's still going to be first blood for Weeboy as he takes Gunth down in the jungle. Really well played. He basically was healthy and just ran right into Gunth, knowing that he had the strength in the 1v1. Amumu a little weak in the early phase. Now hook from Pipe Bots will find Web Hippo. That's not the target you want to find, because he can just tank that up for days and will be perfectly fine trading that back across. And Web Hippo once again showing why he's such a strong dominant support in his lane there. Mid lane, Mohawk Gaming taking quite a bit of poke here. Has to be careful. Bot lane, Poison Lynch going to get hit by the hook, but will be able to just dodge out the stun, and that will keep him nice and safe in this bot lane here. Going very even, which is good news for DoV Nightfall, because they scale better in that bot lane there. And I am expecting the junglers here, both Weeboy and Gunth, to be sort of the focus of action. They're going to need to be the ones making things happen. Mid lane though, Mohawk going to take a lot of damage from the minions there. Has to be careful. Piglet does have flash, can potentially jump him, but he does have the pool available. Going to use it to bait it right there. Has to ignite as well, and will be able to turn the tides onto Piglet. Finding the kill. Bot lane, Yachty Boat finding a kill onto Poison Lynch as well. The explosive shot combined with just the damage from the Pike is huge. Will force the flash out of Web Hippo as well, and it looks like MG Nitro in the bot lane starting to find themselves the leads they need to. And in the mid lane though, Mohawk doing really well. Gun's going to show up in that bot lane, get the bandage shots down onto Pike bot, who's low. Though we've seen Pikes in the game previously. They're very slippery, very difficult to find the kills onto there. Kind of need to blow a lot of their escapes before you can really find them. Top lane, only Louis going to have to blow his flash to get away. And again, Darius on Lord of Aces on Darius means they're not going to have teleports. So there's no teleports at all on the side of DoV Nightfall. Going with the Ghost in the top and Ignite in the mid lane. The Ignite's already paying dividends for Mohawk Gaming as well, getting him the kill there in the mid lane solo. And while I do like the Vlad pick, think it's a really good skilling pick, safe insurance against a Tristana with the range advantage, will might not be of quite as much use. You can always just Buster Shot him away out of fights as well. But top lane, Lord of Aces going in, and we did say this was going to be a lane to watch. Both level 6 Death Realm going to be used onto Lord of Aces there, but Luis has to be careful that he isn't going to get executed on, and Lord of Aces will be able to go back, and did not look like he had the mana there to use the Noxian Guillotine, but he will be able to flash and still pick up the kill for himself, and that's a really solid 1v1 kills. And the solo laners here for DoVN Nightfall looking really solid right now. Will be a huge boon for them to play through, especially since Gunth a little bit behind in the jungle from that early first blood. And now Poison Lynch is alone there in the bot lane, going to get found by the hooks, and he's going to get busted down immediately. Poison Lynch was unfortunately, Web Hippo unfortunately was not with him, was with Wee Boy instead in the jungle, trying to stop the invade, and that will see Poison Lynch going down. Yes, Ezreal is a safe AGC, but can still get hooked, can still get taken out. And mid lane, Piglet finding the kill there onto Mohawk, but going to trade back as Lord of Aces with a really good roam from that top lane to even things out, and ultimately going to be a 2-for-1 trade across the map here. And Web Hippo does have to be careful in that bot lane here. We saw Poison Lynch going 2v1 and dying it, but now it's going to be Wee Boy getting collapsed on. A great collapse from Gunth. Web Hippo baiting, making it look like a 1v3, but he was just buying time for Poison Lynch and Gunth to show back up. And they will be able to find and delete Wee Boy there in the jungle. And that's absolutely huge. You definitely do want to keep an Olaf down as long as you can. If an Olaf is behind, it's really difficult for him to find ways back into the game. So really good to try and keep Wee Boy there, balancing things out between the Amumu and the Olaf. And Web Hippo here, a bit low on health, does have to be careful. Yet he does regenerate quite well, but Pike Boy and Yaktibolt might be hitting level 6 soon. Yaktibolt already 6, and the burst they can put down might just destroy Web Hippo through his shield as well. And Pikebot now is level 6. Poison Lynch not quite there. Will miss the hook, and that's going to leave him isolated on his own. Yaktibolt not quite there. He's going to hop over, but the Showstopper going to absolutely burst down Pikebots there. The damage from Yaktibolt still good enough to trade back, and they're going to trade supports 1-for-1 in that bot lane. And Yaktibolt already picking up his BF Sword early into the game. 3 kills up will speed up his progression into the mid game here. And if we take a quick look at the gold, fairly even still for both teams. 5-5 here, and no objectives taken yet. Wee Boy is currently taking that first Drake, the Mountain Drake, for his team. And the gold really fairly even across the board. 300 more for Lord of Aces, but 300 more for Wee Boy instead, and that's really the only difference. Mid lane though, Unleashed Power not going to be able to find Mohawk Gaming. There weren't enough orbs on the ground, and Mohawk will be able to remain safe for now. Well played from him. Piglet not quite finding the sweet spot for the kill, and will now have to be careful because Mohawk going to be able to just sustain back up in lane, queue up the minions there, and be healthy in a wave or two. But we are seeing a roam come out of Pikebots right now, looking like he might be looking in the mid lane to find a kill there. The stun coming out will get the kill onto Mohawk. That's just the electrocute damage there. That's absolutely massive, and Mohawk playing a little disrespectfully right now on the Vladimir, opting not to use the pool proactively. And getting hit by that stun means that he will not be able to pull while the other orb comes down, while the electrocute comes down as well. And Piglet going to be able to find himself a second solo kill in the mid lane there. And while Vladimir scales really, really well, he has to be careful not to fall too far behind the Syndra, because Syndra, extremely oppressive mid laner, went ahead, can just pop anybody and everybody. And if Piglet can just reliably pop Mohawk Gaming there, he can always turn around and find Lord of Aces, Poison Lynch, or Web Hippo, because they will be squishier. And for both teams, all players have hit level 6. We are starting to approach that mid-game point here, and we might start seeing those massive fights now. Gunth looking for a gank in the mid lane, has to navigate his way through the minions. Will flash but not find the bandit shots. Will just brute force the Curse of the Sad Mummy, and they might find it here. The Unleashed Power not available. Shutdown for Mohawk Gaming onto MG Piglet there, and that's a nice chunk of gold, 150 gold bounty to help himself get back into the lane. Weeboy going to reciprocate into the top lane, but the ghost from Lord of Aces with the change there, instantaneous movement speed boost, will allow him to get to safety and will remain perfectly safe. And that'll even things back up 6-6 here for both teams, even gold. Weeboy potentially looking to start the Herald up for himself right now. And that's really solid objective control coming out from MG Nitro. They took the first Drake, and Gunth unfortunately not really looking like he's trying to control the objectives. If we look at the vision here, DoVN Nightfall has vision in the bot side, but there's no objectives there. When we look instead at MG Nitro, they do actually have quite a lack of vision. Just a really one aggressive ward here by the Raptor pit, but they did drop the pink at the Herald. Will be able to see that there's no vision, and so Weeboy going to be able to safely take that one up for his team. And while the gold has been extremely even thus far, the Herald might be the objective here that will blow things open. If they can get themselves a turret, get themselves some plate gold here, they'll be able to start finding leads for themselves. And I am looking at Gunth here to be the one to make plays for the side of DoVN Nightfall. This Amumu, really versatile, has quite a bit of burst damage in the early game as well. And it looks like he went the Cinderhawk, not going the AP Amumu. But it looks like it's going to be Weeboy pulling the gun first, looking for Lord of Aces. They do use the Ragnarok, but unable to find Lord of Aces before he gets under the turret there. So he will be able to save himself for now, but has to be careful off the dive. They can just drop Shelly, and that's what they're going to do. The Herald going to be dropped in that top lane. Mid lane, Mohawk Gaming has to be careful as well. Very, very squishy. Going to get hit once more by that stun. And again, just not paying respect to that. They're going to dive this in the top lane, but only Louise gonna survive as Weeboy goes down. He tanked it first, but he was already squishy from the previous dive, and that's gonna be a free kill going the way of Lord of Aces. Going to be able to defend this turret push as well, and only Louise not going to be happy that Lord of Aces now 3-0. Piglet sat on top of a ward. Gunth going to initiate here. Going to follow up with the True Shot Barrage from that bot lane. Poison Lynches. MG Piglet super low. Going to be able to take the Blast Cone, but a good Bandit Touch will follow him over. Web Hippo going to burn his flash as well, but he was getting collapsed on by the bot lane. Will just walk that one off. Well played from DoVN Nightfall, and this is what I expected from them, for Gunth to look for those plays across the map, and it's fairly good timing as the dragon will be spawning in about 30 seconds here. Will be the Cloud Drake, and despite the first Drake going the way of MG Nitro, it was the Mountain Drake, and it's not very effective nor efficient by its own when it's the first Drake you get, so not going to be a huge problem for them. And really it's a question of who's going to get all the other Drakes, because it's going to be Cloud next, that leaving either Ocean or Inferno to be the sole Drake here for either team. And both those Soul Drakes, I believe, are some of the most efficient souls here. Very high damage and or the almost infinite regeneration you get out of an Ocean Soul in a siege. And now it's going to be Pikebot getting caught up here in the Dragon Pit. Will be able to sneak his way back out to safety, as slippery as he is. But Gunth and Web Hippo in the area. We're going to hop over. Going to find Gunth there, and will be able to just burst him down. It's the execute from Pikebot that's going to get the ultimate kill, but the gold will still be shared as well. And yet another execute as Web Hippo as well on his own. Unfortunately, Mohawk and Poison Lynch just weren't fast enough on the rotate, and that's going to see the dragon go the way of MG Nitro here. They've got the numbers advantage, they've got the health advantage. Now the execute coming up from Pikebots once again as the cooldown coming down will not find Poison Lynch, but the hook will, and that will allow Yoghtibot to just burst him down with the explosive shots that is being maxed here with the Buster Shot. They're going to be able to pop it. Suddenly, MG Nitro just finding themselves leads here. The strength of their individual laners absolutely massive, and now they're going to look for Mohawk Gaming, but a great pull here to dodge out the unleashed power. The Ignite sticking down, the flash will find MG Piglet for Mohawk Gaming. Really well played from him to negate the bulk of the burst from MG Piglet top lane. We've got the death round being put down, execute coming out, the bleed is there, and will be able to pick only Louise up, and Lord of Aces now on a rampage. without external help, without Wee Boy swing that top lane, Lord of Aces is going to keep running over only Louise there. And while it looked like MG Nitro was going to be able to find themselves a lead, we see DoV Nightfall just answering back here. And it's not off the team fights. Instead, it's the continued dominance from their solo laner. Despite Mohawk Gaming giving up a bunch of kills, he's still able to continue skilling and just play very well against the Syndra, and MG Piglet does have to be careful about that. The Lord of Aces is now getting ganked by Wee Boy. The teleport coming in from only Louise is going to guarantee the pickup there, but it's going to go the way of Wee Boy, and there's the 250 gold bounty as well. It's not the worst pick here because the Olaf will be able to gank other lanes, spread the gold advantage, but it's going to be really rough for only Louise there in the top lane, having to continue handling the 1v1 without getting the bounty, without getting the kill to try and even things up. Great hook from Pikebots will find Poison Lynch there. Quite a bit of damage, but unfortunately he sat under the tower a little too long after the execute. So they're going to trade 1-for-1, but that's ADC for support. And Yoctibot now 4-0-1, finding himself with a really solid gold lead here. And so far, it's been Wee Boy who's really the jungler who's been ganking, making the plays across the map. Gunt, unfortunately, a little conspicuously absent, did try and look for that bot lane, but was spotted out by the wards because the bot lane right now is warded out the wazoo here for Yoctibot and Pikebots. They want to make sure they don't throw their lead in at that bot lane there. Unless they clear out that vision, Gunt is going to find himself unable to really find ganks in this bot lane here. And they do have to try and shut Yoctibot down. He is one of the hyper skillers here for the side of MG Nitro. If he does get to that end game, he will be able to safely poke out Mohawk Gaming in the mid lane with that Vladimir and just completely shred people in these fights here. We see Wee Boy once again looking for something in that bot lane as well. Lord of Aces pushing out his lane will be able to roam out. There were pings shown up there, and the Unleashed Power once again blocked by the Sanguine pull from Mohawk Gaming. He's making really good use of that, making a very solid case for that Vladimir versus Syndra matchup. And so far, only that one turret going down in that top lane there by only Louise. It is first turret, so will give MG Nitro a bit of a gold lead for themselves here. But they do have to be careful because that will unlock Lord of Aces to roam, and he is the most fed member here from the side of DoV Nightfall. Has completed the Trinity Force, will have quite a bit of damage for himself. And DoV Nightfall does want to roam, does want to work as a group, get the damage down. Explosive Shot going to bring Poison Lynch low, but Web Hippo just able to throw his body in there and just keep on applying the damage. Ignite now will be on to Poison Lynch, and the Execute as well. A great showstopper to pull Poison Lynch and keep him in range of turret, but a flash, not a flash, just the mobility there, the getting over the wall from Pikebots will keep him safe. Now top lane, we are seeing a bit of a skirmish. It's going to be a 2v4 there, but bot lane, Pikebots able to find the Execute onto Web Hippo. The shield not available, and they will find the turret down as well. Top lane, only Louise dragging Mohawk into the death realm, but that's not the target he wanted because Mohawk super tanky. Will come out right next to Wee Boy though, and Wee Boy will be able to find him. Only Louise kind of low on health. Does have to be careful. They're going to answer 1-for-2, but finally MG Piglet has arrived. Will be able to clean house in that top lane, finding a double kill for himself there, and that's going to be a 3-for-2. And while all that was happening, Yoctibot able to just take himself down 2 turrets in that bot lane. That's a Tristana level 11, already completed the Storm Razors, building towards that Infinity Edge. When left unattended with a Pike and AD carry support, they're able to just take down turrets like no tomorrow, and suddenly they're up 3-0 in turrets, finding themselves a 6,500 gold lead here. Absolutely massive, and Poison Lynch just have to be careful in that mid lane against the Syndra. The Unleashed Power is a point and click, can just target him. You can't arcane shift away from a point and click there. The Ocean Drake here being started up by Yoctibot and Pikebots. Have to be careful. Wee Boy not there. They don't have the smite available, and they did get spotted out by the ward here from Web Hippo. Will still be able to pick up safely as Gunt was not in the area, was also back at base, was trying to run in there, and there was enough vision here from MG Nitro. They could see that Gunt not quite there, did spot him out with this ward. in just outside their base. And they're suddenly at soul point here for an Ocean Soul. And DoVN Nightfall finding themselves with their backs up against a wall a little bit here. They suddenly down 6,500 at 21 minutes. Just off really a bad fight in the top lane and leaving Yogti Boat unattended. And this is actually really bad news for them. They were fairly even. They had the mid-game composition. They should have been the ones pulling the trigger, but it's actually MG Nitro just shoving their lane advantages with the individual strength of their lanes. And suddenly, it's going to be really difficult for the side of DoVN Nightfall to do anything. A flash from Pike bots to try and keep him alive. They're trying to avoid all the damage. I don't think it was necessary, but certainly was a proactive, solid, conservative choice here. And now it's Web Hippo who has to be careful. He's got to dodge a bunch of pulls, but he does manage to do so, and we might see the first major fight here for the execute coming down from Pipe Bots. Won't find anybody. It's going to be only Louise instead going down to Web Hippo, but Yogti Boat unstoppable, able to safely just output damage, has decided to dive into Lord of Aces though, and that will see him getting shut down. They will find Mohawk Gaming, but they might lose this one as Poison Lynch able to now join the fight, able to just pump out that damage safely here. Only Pike Bots left us alive for the side of MG Nitro. He's gonna hightail it out of there, will remain safe, but really well played from DoVN Nightfall. Guns just barely living with a sliver of health throughout that fight, and Mohawk Gaming just able to tank things up for days. And there's no healing cut yet on the side of MG Nitro. Piglet opting to complete that Luden's Echo first, has the Oblivion Orb, but still short the Morelos. And for the side of Yogti Boat, he was in that bot lane. He didn't feel a need to build an Executioner's Calling just yet, but this is a wake-up call for MG Nitro. Yes, they had the stronger lanes. Yes, they had a 6,000 gold lead, but if you don't have Executioner's Calling, if you don't build appropriately to counter the enemy team, you can still go down, especially with that mid-game team fighting strength from DoVN Nightfall here. And Mohawk Gaming, so well played in that fight with the Proto Belt completed, was able to just kite around, use that Sanguine Pool to amazing, great effect there. Surviving long enough with his ultimate as well with the Hemo Plague there. Did manage to heal back up and come in for round 2, and that allowed Poison Lynch in that bot lane to be able to roam back up, join the rest of the team. Does have the Manamune, the Mirror Mana complete here for himself, as well as the Sheen, and that allowed him to output quite a bit of damage. Really, that's the core of the Ezreal build. That's when he can start outputting damage in team fights, and it definitely showed there in that last fight. Once again, they find and catch Pike Bots, but just so mobile on that Pike, able to find his way back out. Will not go down there. And they've rotated the mid laners into that bot wave. And one thing that DoVN Nightfall does have to be careful about is that they have no teleports at all on either of their solo laners. And for the side of MG Nitro, they do have teleports in 2 of their lanes. So we'll be able to send them to split push here, roam up. But right now, MG Piglet not looking like he's doing too well in that 1v1 against Mohawk Gaming. Mohawk just able to constantly pump out damage there with the phase rush, able to dodge around those orbs. And now they do get the stun on to Poison Lynch, but it's going to be in the jungle here with Gunth and only Louise finding each other. Gunth still not quite tanky enough against magic resistance, has a whole bunch of armor, and will go down to only Louise bot lane as well. Saw MG Piglet and Mohawk going face to face, and this time MG Piglet just barely able to pick up the kill, and it looked like it was a dive under the turret there from Mohawk Gaming. And with those two people down, it's going to be a 5v3 situation. They're going to leave MG Piglet constantly pushing that bot lane. Instead, it's going to be a 4v3 in the mid lane here on this turret. They get the demolish from Pike Bots, and that's going to be a hefty chunk of damage. Yogti Boat also able to poke from afar, but they are out of minions. They have to wait for the minions to catch up to them here. And they don't have a ton of poke. Mordekaiser, Pike, Olaf, none of them great at the poke. Yes, you got a couple of undertows from the Olaf, but it's really mana intensive, and I'm not sure that's really going to be effective in an extended siege. Instead, they're going to back off here. Yogti Boat opting to not try and take that turret down immediately. Instead, they're going to go for the red buff and rotate towards that Drake there. 4 seconds till it spawns, and that will be Ocean Soul if MG Nitro can get their hands on it. might help them a lot in these fights. The fights haven't been really that fast. It's been quite extended, but a beautiful engage here from Web Hippo. There's a two-man Curse of the Sad Mummy here, but it's going to be Pike Bots popping off. He gets one execute. Can he get the second? No, he misses Gunton. He's going to be able to survive. Buster Shot takes Lord of Aces out of the fight there, and Weeboy extremely low will be taken down. Lord of Aces, that Buster Shot managed to help him find Pike Bots, and he's going to pick himself up a double kill instead, and suddenly it's a 4v3, but Mohawk and Gunt extremely low on health. The Octobolt still alive, able to pump up the damage. He's going to find the shutdown there onto Lord of Aces. Jump forward, get Gunt, jump forward again. He's going to look for Poison Lynch. Can he get it? Yes, he can. That's going to be a double kill for him. Only Luis able to pick up a double kill on the backline as well onto Mohawk Gaming, and that's going to be an ace for MG Nitro here. They're going to pick themselves up the soul as well for a reward. No jungler, no problem, because no contest with everybody on DoV Nightfall dead right now. And MG Nitro once again in the lead, in the driver's seat, now up about 8,000 gold for themselves. And really, it's just these massive team fights here that seem to be swinging things MG Nitro's way, which is really ironic considering that the big team fight team is actually DoV Nightfall. Now Web Hippo catching out Pipe Bots, but does have to be careful. Only Luis Yoctobolt are both around the area, just over the wall there. And Yoctobolt super fed right now, 7-1 and 7, has completed the Infinity Edge, has completed the Storm Razors, pardon me, with the Zeal as well. So able to put out quite a bit of damage, especially if he finds his crits here. And we saw in the last team fight, if Yoctobolt is left alive, he can output quite a lot of damage. Level 14, his range on that level 14 Tristana, not necessarily the highest yet, but still really solid for himself there. And Web Hippo now has to be careful, is getting caught out by hooks and grabs. And they can easily follow up there in terms of damage. And Pike Bot's just playing really aggressively, and you kind of need to do that if you are a Pike. You have to look for your advantages here. And now Yoctobolt finding Poison Lynch once again. The Arcane Shift already used. He's already taken low. Will find the kill there as the rapid fire cannon comes in for Yoctobolt, increasing his range significantly there. And he's also picked up the Executioner's Calling. So the next fight we could see Mohawk Gaming going down a lot faster. Won't have quite as much healing. Yoctobolt definitely coming online here. And the range from Yoctobolt already extremely massive for himself. And it looks like MG Nitro gonna start up the Baron here. Showstopper gonna drag only Luis in there, but they'll be able to safely just take him out with the Death Realm, and that's gonna be Baron secured from MG Nitro. Web Hippo gonna go down in that 1v1. It was a support versus a solo laner there, and as strong as Set is, that's still gonna be a problem and not something that's gonna be easy for him to overcome. Now Lord of Aces getting trained down here. Undertow after Undertow gonna find him. He's not gonna be able to get away. The execute comes out, but it will not find him. Instead, Yoctobolt with the explosive shot going to be the one to pick him up there. And this might be the beginning of the end of the game. The last push here. They have the Baron buff. They have all 5 members up. They've got a really fed Tristana who can absolutely shred turrets. True Shot Barrage going to come across. It's barely even going to hit the minions, really. That's going to be Inhibitor, turret down, Inhibitor soon to follow. Web Hippo has respawned, but Lord of Ace is still going to be down for the next 24 seconds. This is going to be a 5v4, and the minions are going to be slowly cleared out here. The side of MG Nitro going to have to wait for their minions to come back in. And Web Hippo getting caught out in that bot lane. Just overstepping a little bit, but you can't do that when the entire enemy team is lurking around. They had the wards as well, so they would have seen them rotating, and they're going to be able to pick themselves up an inhibitor turret in that bot lane as well. Now going for the inhibitor. That's 2 lanes here popped wide open. And as soon as Lord of Aces spawn, Web Hippos goes down. So that 4v5 power play for the side of MG Nitro going to continue. Yoctobolt finding yet another kill, this time onto Mohawk Gaming as they absolutely melt him. Gunt soon to follow as well. And now Lord of Aces has to be careful that he doesn't get caught out. One of the Nexus turrets down already. Double siege cannon minions in the bot wave there, with supers coming in the mid shortly after. And this is looking absolutely dire for DoV Nightfall. Yaktibolt going in, getting the buster shot out onto Web Hippo, and looked like they got a pull as well. So he's going to be really far out here. Only Louis going to finish him off, while the rest of MG Nitro, going to focus on what's important. No, not the Nexus. Instead, more kills. Instead, they find Lord of Aces. Nexus finally going down here in a very extended 5v4 at the end of the game. 30 minutes 45 seconds going to be game time on this one. 33-19 MG Nitro. Congrats to them as they win game 1 here in DoV Nightfall versus MG Nitro. And really quite an unusual game we're seeing here in game 1. It looked pretty even for the most part in the early game, and really in the mid game, when we should have seen DoV Nightfall's composition come online, they just got picked off a couple of times. We did see them fire back. They got a couple of good fights and managed to even things out a little bit, but towards the end there, just DoV Nightfall once again looking not like they're not all on the same page. And we saw this problem last week, week 2, when they played against Xnull here. Just not on the same page with the engages. The Curse of the Sad Mummy not finding priority targets there. Mohawk Gaming going in either too early or too late. Poison Lynch unable to pump out the damage, and Lord of Aces running amok on his own, looking very uncoordinated. And towards the end there, it was just an extended 5v4 power play, starting with that fight at Baron. They get the Baron, they find Lord of Aces, they find Web Hippo, and because of the death timers at this point in the game, Lord of Aces taking a lot longer to come up. Web Hippo up, gets caught again when Lord of Aces comes out. They're still fighting the 5v4 power play, and then Mohawk Gaming getting caught, Gunt getting caught. Just not what you want to see out of a team like DoV Nightfall, who emphasizes team compositions, team fight, full 5v5 compositions. And we'll have to see if they do manage to rebound here in game 2. I mean, I don't think it was an issue of their picks actually, because despite having the weaker lanes in the mid lane, in the bot lane, those two lanes held on fairly well for themselves. In the top lane, Lord of Aces able to find his lead. Ended the game 8-5-3 actually. A huge bright spot there for DoV Nightfall. So I think it's more of a communication issue. If anything, maybe change up the Amumu for Gunt. I mean, it served. It's a solid pick, but it just didn't quite serve its purpose. And he ended game 1, 6, and 8 here, struggling to find kills, dying quite a bit as well. And Mohawk just needs to play a bit more respectfully in that mid lane as well. Ending 4, 8, and 7. He gave up a couple of kills, just disrespectful play. Just needs to play a little safer for himself. And on the side of MG Nitro, really, they won, so really there's nothing to be said in terms of changing things up for them. That being said, I would like to see maybe a slightly different pick here for the mid lane. The Syndra did do a lot of damage, and that was the counter pick here into the Vladimir, but I don't think it was a good pick into the Vladimir pick. Vladimir able to nullify a lot of the damage, a lot of the burst with well-placed Sanguine pools. So I do think if MG Piglet picks something even more lane dominant, we could just see MG Nitro just run over the side of DoV Nightfall. And with that, we are going to be headed into a short intermission break while we set up for game 2 here. So we'll see y'all in a couple of minutes.